Um, we have a little. Why will not go live?
Huh?
You
Yep,
have to
there
go live
we
on
go.
both things.
Yep, I know. It wouldn't pop up on the Instagram, that's why. Alrighty,
Yeah.
we are live.
Should be. There we are.
Huh.
There we go.
Alright. See if anybody's in the stream.
4 people. Is that just us?
I
Yep.
think it's just, yeah, probably.
I'm not on here. Mine doesn't load.
7. We got people coming in. We're
Yeah.
good. We're live.
People coming in.
Alright, so hello. Welcome to the Chit Chat. Are we going to introduction first?
Yeah,
Alright.
go ahead.
Alright, me. Okay. Hi, I'm Maddie. I am the host here at the Chit Chat.
My name is Luke. I'm just a guest, I guess.
You're not going to say your position?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm the director of youth ministries here at the Monticello United Methodist Church.
I'm
Alright,
Diego.
who's going next?
I'm Diego. I was on here last week. Just a member of the church.
Hi, I'm Blake. I'm, I guess, a member of this kind of group, and it's my first week here.
Oh, God.
And
Oh no.
yeah.
Scotty had to
We'll be
make
here
it.
eventually.
We'll get
Very
here.
dramatic.
Hi, Scotty. I'm currently sitting in Luke's office. Hello. I was here last week.
So, hello. So, this week on the Chit Chat, we are talking about service. All right. So, my first question for you guys is how would you define service according to your faith?
I remember, I can't pull it out of the top of my head, but Pastor Justin preached a while back. I want to say like the beginning of June. Preached about how in order to love others, we have to serve others. That's the whole point of serving others. So I guess in my faith, the way I've also just personally interpreted love your neighbors as yourself is to simply serve. I mean, there's different ways that looks. That doesn't always look the same way for everybody. The same kind of service doesn't look the same, but it's all just about loving people. God created everyone in His own image, and that makes us all equals. And it's our job to go out and just love God's creation.
Yeah, I think serving for me has always been, um, like most importantly, like Diego said, loving others and showing your love for others. I think when we serve others, we reflect who Jesus was, and Jesus loved us. Um, no, and He loves us no matter what we do, and so we're able to show that in serving, to where when somebody walks into the doors of a church or walks into the doors of an event that we're serving at, we get to reflect who Jesus was. We get to love on them. We get to have an opportunity to just ask them how their week's going, or ask them how their day's going, and um, I think it's a great way. I like to think of it as, and I heard a pastor on a podcast say it this way, of stewarding what God is trusting with you and trusting you with. Sorry, and so like He's trusting you to be able to serve that person that He's sending through the doors of the church or through the doors of your event, or whatever it is, and we have to steward that. Um, it's not about who we are, and we don't really get anything from serving. A lot of us feel good when we serve, but um, Jesus doesn't show favor to those who serve Him. He shows favor to those who love Him, but He loves all people, and yeah.
All right, does anybody have an answer they'd like to give before we answer the question put into the chat?
So I just wanted to say, kind of with what Luke said, when you're serving other people, you're choosing to set aside your own time. And I mean, part of that is just the sacrifice of choosing others over yourself.
All right, so Pastor Justin asked us, and we're going to attempt to answer this to the best of our abilities. What is the difference between serving to meet a need and serving in step with your gifts? This is a really good question.
I think more often than not, like when we serve to meet a need, um, oftentimes when I've been in positions where I have to serve in a time of need, it's normally things that like I wouldn't do or I wouldn't give myself up for it um, on a normal basis. And it's something where like somebody is in need of something, somebody is needs somebody to serve in a position, and they're they're entrusting you with that. Um, that's how I kind of view it. And then serving in step with your gifts is really just like, what is Jesus and what is God calling you to? Um, like, how can you use your gifts to serve the kingdom? And sometimes, like the difference between when we serve to meet a need, it's not always in line with what we believe our gifts and our talents are. But when we serve in step with our gifts, it's something that we can do and use our talents for the kingdom of God.
All right, does anybody else have an answer? Because I have something to add on to that.
You can go ahead. I'll go after you, Maddie.
I was just gonna say, like, with serving to meet a need and serving with your gifts, sometimes these overline. Like, when you're
Yep.
serving to meet a need, you're seeing a problem and you want to fix it, but the truth is, there's a lot of problems in the world, and you can't serve to meet all of them. But a lot of times you use your gifts or what God has called you to do, and then you can fulfill a need. And that's actually say how BS got started. So at church camp this year, I felt very convicted by the Spirit, and I wasn't sure where that was going to lead. And I texted Justin. I was like, "Hey, Justin, I don't know what's happening, but I feel the Spirit call me to do something for the ministry here at Mumsy." And so we're timing, about to leave, right? But I felt like you're the right person to talk to about it. And when I walked in his office, he was like, "The young adult need something here." And it was actually something me and my mom were just talking about, how there wasn't a space for young adults at Mumsy, really, or like a youth group or something, probably because we're all so spread out. And so my gifts just happened to overline with this, because I felt like within the last year, especially, I felt pretty prepared to actually take this on, because I had to, for a club, I was running social media. So I already experienced that. Before I guess got started, I was actually also running a devotional group with my best friend, which that's what inspired the including the devotions into this group. So like sometimes God will see a need and call you to help you get that out, and that's when your gifts come really useful, even if you can't see it at the time.
Right. So for me, I just looking at it from this perspective of God makes everyone with intention, right? Like I said earlier, Imago Dei, in His image. There's purpose behind His plan always. In that purpose, He gives us each our own special gifts. Some people will talk about spiritual gifts. Some people believe in those. Some people don't. But whether you believe in spiritual gifts specifically, there's gifts given to you, and that's sort of how I see it. That's sort of where God is pushing you towards in your life. Some people are really good at music, and that is a wonderful way to serve, leading others in worship, that kind of thing. Some people aren't at all, and that doesn't mean that they're bad. there's just a certain way, a certain other place for them to serve. When you fall into that uh, position where you need to serve to just simply fill a need, you're not serving where your gifts are calling you towards. Um, I like sort of what Christy was saying in the chat. Um, when you're doing something to just fill a need, you're losing intentionality behind it. If it's something that I don't necessarily like to do, but am doing it just because our church needs it, yeah, I'll still do it because I love our church. I love the people in it. I want to serve them, but it's not going to be. I'm not going to be as successful at, say, running a soundboard than someone who's actually trained in running a soundboard. Like, I can do it, but it's not going to be great. And I think that's where there's that difference between filling a need and serving based off of your gifts is obviously what you're good at, but just how intentional you are behind it, and the effort put towards it, the um, even just the want to do it. That's sort of the biggest difference that I see between those.
Yeah, I think Diego said that pretty good. Basically took the words out of my mind, out of my mouth, and mine. It works.
All right, do we have anything else? All right. So the next question is, what is some advice on how to stay involved in serving others at college or in the workforce?
I think I'll speak a little bit to staying involved within um, the workforce, and for me especially, it's um, I'm on staff here at the church, but there's a lot of things that happen at the church that are outside of what's required of me. Um, and so I think in those instances, I try to get myself plugged into those communities, and it's not always because like, oh, I work here and I need to be there, but like it's an opportunity for me to meet people and more importantly to serve people. Um, like Super Soul is a great example of that. Like trying to make sure that I'm able to step in and help serve in those spaces. Um, I think is really important, and I think what surprises me every day about the church is what can happen if you just ask. Of like, I mean, I'm going through it with our high schoolers right now. Of like, a lot of them want to serve, but they don't know where to serve, and they don't know where to start. They don't know what's needed, and so one of the things I've been pushing them with is like, just ask. Like, if you want to serve on a Sunday morning, ask somebody how you can serve, and they'll find a place for you. Um, so that would be like my one tip is like, be brave and go ask what is needed.
Can you repeat your question, Maddie?
Yeah, it's like you never know.
So what is some advice? Yeah. What is some advice on how to stay involved in serving others while at college or in the workforce?
College and work.
Just keep reaching out, keep asking, keep just try to keep yourself in connected with people at the church, within your community, your friend group. Just try not to make it to where you're just not around people or alone. Just try to be active in your community or your friend group.
Yeah, and just be ready for those opportunities that may arise. And with what Scotty said, with like being connected, things will pop up, and often it's just God's will for you to be in that place at that time and for you to be able to serve on that. And just being able to step up in those occasions is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and I think especially for those who are going somewhere else for college, who aren't staying here at our home church or your home church, wherever that may be, just finding ways to serve that community too. Um, we are called, obviously, to go out and tell the nations. I mean, throughout the Bible, you just see these calls to evangelize everywhere we go. That one of the best ways to serve for your church is to go out and be a beacon of light to those not in it. You can be a church meant for the people who already go there, or a church the way Jesus called you, a church that is there for the broken, the weak, is there for those in their time of need, whether they're part of your church already or not. I think one of my favorite things at school is when I wear a Mumsy shirt, just to show people get to see that I've been plugged into such a great place. And while I do go to a Christian school, it's still just a great way to spark conversation, to begin things, to just start with others around there. So really just focusing on whatever community you get plugged into, whether that is still here or somewhere else.
I was gonna say hi to the people who just joined. Welcome to the Chit Chat. Feel free to ask any questions, or if you have anything cool to say about the subject, we want you to be part of the conversation. But I really like what Steve said about this: is look for opportunities to serve wherever you are planted. I think this is really important because you don't always have to serve at church when you're serving for God, because God called us to serve in any way, whether it's a need or something that we're really passionate about. And I think that when you're out serving, not just for the church, but on your own, and people are like, why are you doing this? You'd be like, God called me here. You can tell them. I mean, a chance to tell the gospel will show God's love.
Yeah.
And so a way to show that you are set apart from the world, that you're different. So.
But I have just a quick thing to add about the idea of I talked about asking where you're asking people where they need help with serving. When Justin asked that question about going back to that question, when you ask people where can I serve, oftentimes it won't be in the area that you might want. I know in our church right now, one of the areas that we need people serving in is children's ministry, and that's not always people's first choice, right? But I think out of obedience of saying, okay, yeah, I can do that, even though you may not want to do it, but there's a need for it, and saying yes to that, I think the obedience that comes with that, the Lord will start providing opportunities for you to step into the gifts that He's given you. So I think oftentimes we're like, I want to serve, I want to serve, I want to serve, and then somebody presents us with an opportunity to serve, and then we're like, no, not in that. Find something else for me. That is not where I want to serve. And I think oftentimes God is testing us in those moments to be like, do you want this? And we have to show that we have a heart of service, not of just glorifying ourselves and trying to use just our talents. So yeah.
Like sometimes I think we just don't realize what our gifts are. We don't know what we're passionate about yet, especially when you're a teenager or young
Yeah.
adult. You're still trying to figure that out. So by when you get asked those opportunities, it might be God's way of saying, "Hey, check us out. You might actually really like this. If not, you can learn a cool new skill. Like the stuff that I've used here, like for running the pro and stuff. I've used it for another volunteer organization I volunteer with. So like those skills transfer over. You're not wasting time by doing something when you're feeling in need. You're learning something that can be applied. Is there anything else to add to this before we jump to a question in the chat?
Yeah, you never know until you try. So you can't really say that you don't think that you're good for that service, like children's ministry or just anything in the church. You never know until you actually try.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right. So, Pastor Justin asked another question, and this was also a really good one. What new thing do you feel God calling you to be part of or are starting?
For me, I start lifeguarding for 648 on Sunday, so I feel that God is calling me to do that and to help lead the youth. So I'm excited to start that.
And I'd like to add, if you're on here and you're looking for service opportunity, please help out with 648 or Revolution. We need volunteers, so that's a great way to serve. So please. So how about Diego and Blake over here? Our twins. What about you guys?
So I mean, something that God's been calling me to be a part of even is this stream here. When Maddie asked me to be a part of it, I was really excited to be able to just see what's going on with it and hopefully in the future contribute to it. Of course, this is my first time kind of doing this, but just trying to be a part of it and seeing where it goes.
I definitely have to agree with Blake. You don't know, me and Blake are going to college together. I have to be there soon, but I'm just I'm not sure what it is yet, but I just have like a really good feeling about this specifically, um, especially once we get on campus, once we start doing things over there. I don't know. I'm really excited to see where this ends up going, I guess.
Christy put something really good in the chat. She said, God qualifies the willing. And I want to take that one step further. I heard this, I read a book 2 years ago now? No, a year ago. And in that book, one of the quotes was that oftentimes God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Um, and I think that's something we have to live by, is that like when there's an area of need and God is calling you to it, you might think that it's not for you. When I was early on in high school, I was presented with an opportunity to serve in children's ministry, and I don't know if any of you knew me like when I was in middle school or high school, but I was a child myself, and so I was kind of like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, and then I did it, and I realized like this is awesome, like. And I think God was able to use the immaturity that I had at the time as my benefit, because I was able to be a kid with those kids. Um, so I think God does qualify the willing. And I think, yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, even with what Christy said about God qualifying the willing, for me, it was when I felt called to go to a church camp and counsel, and I did not feel in any way inclined to work with kids or like do kind of that stuff. But I mean, God provided that and was just very giving and all of that. I obviously like wouldn't be here without any of that happening and God calling me to do that, even though I wasn't I guess, feeling qualified to do it.
Like I say, I don't think anybody in the Bible thought they were qualified for what God called them to
Mm.
do. I mean, look at the example of Moses. I mean, when God told him, like, hey, I need you to lead my people to the promised land, Moses was like, God, I can't speak. I'm poor of speech. And God was like, fine, I'll give you your brother. Like, so he does give you what you need to do to succeed. But yes, I don't think anybody felt very assured of themselves when they started out. But that's when you take a
Right.
leap of faith, step out where God's calling you to be, and God will meet you there.
Mm.
Steve.
All right. Do you have anything else on this? Right. I have one more. I feel like we kind of talked about this a little bit. But how can serving others help your relationship with God?
It can help you build your faith in your community and allow you to reach and pour into other people and help build their faith in their community.
Mm. Right. It's a way we just get closer to God. I mean, specifically to the Methodist Church, we have acts of piety and acts of mercy, which are ways that we work on our own sanctification. Uh, Acts of mercy would be specifically serving others. The various ways we do that, and that's just almost as big a part in growing closer to God as reading your Bible and praying, because you're going from being in communion with God, which is what praying is, and worshiping Him, into going and being like, thank you, Lord, for that. I'm going to go and actually do something about it and not just keep that to myself, not just let my faith be personal, but actually be a light in a dark world and shine out to others. Actually go and evangelize, actually go and be His witnesses everywhere. It's just serving others is an essential part of the Christian faith, and I feel like a lot of times we don't act like it actually is.
Yeah. With that, like I gave him a kind of lesson at 648 a few weeks ago, and part of what I said in just one part of it was that the whole Christianity thing isn't just me and God. It's there's a social aspect to it. It's not just like you're not just on this earth alone. There's other people that you're interacting with and that you share your faith with, and there's just so much more to that with being able to connect more with God when you choose to interact with others, other creation of God.
I guess for me personally, I do feel closer to God when I'm serving because I feel like I'm doing what Jesus called us to. I mean, if you look at Jesus' ministry and life, he was constantly going out, serving others, preaching, and like stuff like that. Like that's what he calls us is to love others. And when you're serving others, that's your way of loving them. Because there are different forms of love, and serving is definitely one of them. All right, so does anybody have any questions they would like to ask? Because I ran out of questions.
Just feel free to put any prayer request in the chat.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess I have one. And this is more of like, this will be more of like sharing a life story rather than really asking a question. But like, oftentimes we get like when we hear the word serving in the church, we think about serving in the church. But there's so many opportunities outside of the church to serve. And so I really just want like, and you guys can type it in the chat. Um, like just tell a story about like a time that you've served outside of the church and how you were able to display the use the gifts that Jesus has been or that God has given us to serve others. Um, and I think us sharing how we've done it can help others think of ideas.
We do have a question in the chat, so we can get to that after this. I guess for me personally, like you also can look at serving in a different way. Like you're serving like loving others, and sometimes it can just be a random act of kindness.
Yeah.
Or something like that. This actually sort of happened to me last week, it was a week ago. I was at a Mexican restaurant with my grandma and my siblings in Locusport. And this guy walks in, he was selling popcorn for a night ministry or a night house, something like that. It's just a house where young, like, any adults like 18 up, they can go there if they're struggling with addiction or anything, and they get a 1 year free in this house, and they get discipleship training. It's all, Jesus centered, and he was selling his bag of popcorn and asking for donations. And I just feel the spirit convicting me, be like, hey, you need to pray for this person. I didn't get a chance to before he walked out of the restaurant, but I was like, okay, God, I guess if I see this guy again, I'll pray over him. I'm on cue. Right after that restaurant, we went to a shoe store that was right next to it. He was there. So I walked over and I prayed over this man. It's like sometimes you don't know what kindness God is going to ask you to do, because I don't know if this guy was going for something, he needed that prayer in that moment. But just stuff like that can be serving others outside of a church setting and helping others out in that way, I guess.
I know it's not fully out of a church setting, but
Yeah.
out of when I'm at camp, I work as a camp counselor. I get 8 weeks just at a camp, counseling anywhere from like 7 to 10 kids at a time. But I think one of my favorite parts of the job is the times when I get a kid who either isn't Christian or says they're Christian, but I mean, they say that because they went to church a few times when they were younger or something like that. Um, Getting to actually open their eyes to that, getting to actually walk them through what it is to be a Christian, walking through the gospel. I mean, I've had campers who were literally say they've been Christians their whole life. They'll come in, they'll answer all the questions, and then they don't really understand what the gospel is. They still think that it's just 4 books in the Bible. But I think that's probably like my favorite part of serving. Just that time to open people's eyes to what this really is, because it's not just an hour on Sundays.
Hector said in the chat, sometimes I like to check in on old friends just to see how they are.
Hi, Hector. I expect you to do that for me when I'm in Philly.
Yeah, I think that's a great way that we can serve others outside the church. I mean, I think one of the best ways we can serve is just listening. There's a lot of people that have a lot of built up emotions and thoughts, and they just need somebody to listen. And just hearing their story and allowing them to share their struggles with us is an amazing way that we can serve others.
Is there anything else on this? Because I totally forgot to do the Bible verse for today. So, all right. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. Galatians 5:13. So I think that really goes along with what we're saying, talking about how since God called us to do that, like that's our mission on earth. Because when you're serving others, you're showing His love and stuff. So we're gonna get to Steve's question. What has been your best experience serving?
Just to see how it can impact the people that you're serving or the group, or just how it just has an impact on others.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, specifically with a specific moment, the best time I've had serving. I guess Diego and I are the camp guys, but is just when I get to go to camp. At Camp Adventure, we show up as complete volunteers. Um, we don't do it like for anything at all, except like a free meal, I guess. And it's just awesome seeing how these kids that we get to spend a week with change and grow in their relationship with God. And it is so awesome every year just seeing how they can be just these completely different people and how they can just change so much. And it's just great seeing that. And then even over the years, if you see one of these campers again and you get to hear about like how they're doing in their walk of faith, and it's just really fulfilling throughout those experiences.
I 100% agree with Blake. Just seeing campers grow in their faith. Not to, there's no real good way to say this without it sounding selfish, but just like knowing that God used me to be part of their faith journey, to be part of their testimony in a way, is just a really awesome feeling. I think that's what is the reason that I, kept going back. There's a reason I don't do it as just a 1 week volunteer thing anymore. It's a whole summer. But I think definitely doing that, seeing that, how that works out um, in the long run, because sometimes it feels like we're just, you know, continuously telling the same kid to not do something stupid over and
Banging
over
your head
again.
against the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. But just seeing them grow and then them going from not wanting to be there at all to at the end of the week crying because they have to leave and just like talking about how much they can't wait to be back. It's always just such good moments like that.
Yeah, I have a similar story. I had two brothers when they started in sixth grade at middle school camp. They didn't want to be there. They were just didn't want to be there. And then by the end of that time, end of that week, they were excited to be there and they wanted to come back. And then they came back throughout middle school and high school. And then when they got to high school, they saw me there, and it was a different thing because they were campers and I was a camper and I wasn't their counselor. But it was cool to see how they grew and how their faith grew stronger.
I really love what Christy Fishman said, but I'm pretty sure she did not mean to put that. She said listening, but I think she was talking about listening.
Yeah.
So listening to times that needed. Also, if someone happens to come to your mind, send them a text. You never know how it could change their day, which you never know, like what's going on and why God put in your heart. But for me, I guess mine's a lot different experience from you guys because I volunteer with an organization called the Hugo Bryan Youth Leadership, or HOBie for short. Is a leadership seminar that sophomore into junior year kids from around the state of Indiana, well, around the world, but this one's the Indiana HOBie seminar. They get invited by their school to be their ambassador for some bigger schools that travel. And I was an ambassador my sophomore year, and that changed my life. So I end up come back every year, and it's something that I always love. It's a lot of work, honestly. You would do like 100 plus community service hours a year, plus trainings and all this other stuff. But these people are also my family, and so I love going there and helping to give back to this organization that helped change me, help me realize that I'm a leader and that I can serve the way I can in different ways. And not only that, like just seeing the kids transform through it, because seeing them, cry the last day because they're gonna miss their Hobie family so much, because that's what Hobie is. So, all right, Chrissy said something else too.
I think one of my favorite experiences that I've ever had serving was probably our Miami mission trip that we went on before 2020 and before COVID hit. That was a lot of fun. Not only did we do a lot of fun things, like we went to the beach several times, but like we went to a park one day and just cleared out like an entire path because they were having trouble being able to pick up trash along this fence line. And the lady that was like kind of organizing it for us, she had told us kind of what her idea for it was, and I think she had stepped away while we were doing it, and when she came back at the end when we were done, she was just so thankful and appreciative of us. And it was something that, like, were we spreading the gospel? Not really. But we were able to help somebody that was in need. And that's what Jesus did while he was here. He was able to help people that were in need. And I think when we do that, we do share the gospel in a way, because we share the love that Jesus has for us with others.
And so Christy says, showing up for these campers and years later, finding out how you made the difference in their life when you were there is because you enjoy volunteering. And I guess I have a similar experience. I don't volunteer in middle school camp because of Hobie, actually. But, okay. There's no way I can do chick bump with them. we've already had this discussion. But I do VBS. I love VBS because I love little kids and stuff, working with them. And so Miss Cindy, I love her. Me and her are Monarch buddies now. So her grandson was one of my kids, I think like last year or the year before. And she was actually my assistant in the group for him. And she actually sent me a little note about a week ago with some money for graduation. And she told how she appreciated me and stuff, because how much of a difference I made on her grandkid's life. So it was like a little touching moment, like, helping, like, I made someone's difference, even though they're preschoolers usually. They probably won't remember me, but yeah, it was just nice to know that. Also, if you have any prayer concerns out there, please put them in the chat so we can pray for them at the end of this.
We had a few flow in already. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, that's good. So I do have a question for you guys and for, I guess, everybody that's watching. Putting what we talked about to action. So what's one small, like, tangible way that you can serve somebody this week? I want to ask you guys, and of course you guys can put that in the chat.
I mean, there's always yes. There's always that way, but I'm trying to think of something else.
Just listen to what they have to say.
This. Yeah.
I mean, you can always become a 648 lifeguard.
I'm already doing that.
I think one thing you can do is just ask. A lot of churches on a Sunday morning, if you go to church on a Sunday morning and you just ask somebody if I can help with something, they will say yes. And it might not be the most glamorous thing, but and even like outside of churches, like if you just ask people, how can I help? So many people need help, but they're afraid to ask. And when somebody comes to them and asks them, it's a lot easier for them to say yes, most importantly. And there's always things that people need help for. And even if it's like somebody just says, can you just pray for me? It's just something simple that can help somebody.
And like random acts of kindness are always like if you need
Mhm.
if you see someone struggling with their groceries at the grocery store this week or just stuff like that, that's serving others. You're just doing something kind for someone else. Um,
Say something
anything
I.
else?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Uh, something that I do a really bad job at is just asking how I can pray for people. Um,
Yeah.
Probably the best way to serve others is to pray for them, to ask God to do things for them, to help them out, to be there for them. Um, right. I have a friend at college. His name's Landon Davis. Really good guy, but he always goes, "What is eternally important?" Right? What matters most in the end? Because this life is temporary, and people need help, and the best person to go to is God. Right?
I guess so if you're like out there wondering how can you serve your gifts, but you don't know what your gifts are, definitely look up like a gift survey, like a gift test. I'm sure one of them will pop up somewhere. That's great. Or just look up spiritual gifts. There's like a whole long list of them. Some of them are pretty interesting, like speaking in tongues or um, healing hands, or like healing is one of them. So maybe last year. But I like what Hector said: humbling yourself, enjoying the lowly. Overall, trying to imitate Christ.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hector. So, if you want to have a prayer concern, it's probably your last chance to do that. If you're uncomfortable with saying it out loud, please DM us or something. We will pray for you if you message us. And so I'm going to move on to our little devotional that we're doing this week. It's called Service, Cultivating an Others-Oriented Heart. So I'll be dropping that tomorrow on the Yes Mumsy Instagram, Facebook, and probably TikTok. I'll have to work that one out. But
Yeah.
is there anything else from you guys? All right.
Shout out. Follow us on TikTok. Follow on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Find all that stuff, and yeah, just
Yeah.
share it with your friends too.
For that, I recommend going to our Yes Mumsy, YAS underscore Mumsy, MUMC, and look on there. All of our other socials are posted on there if you can find them. And on the Monza for the Facebook we have two. We have a page, Young Adult Service at Monza United Methodist Church. Really long title, I'm sorry. And we have a page where we post stuff on there too. But we also have a group. So that'll be also YAS Mumsy. Yes, Mumsy. So definitely go join our group. We'd love to have you. That'll be a great way for you guys to, if you want to have a little bit of yes every day, start a conversation on there, put prayer concerns, whatever. We'll be there for you because we're a community here. And lastly, our TikTok is new. It is YAS underscore Mumsy7. Going to be a little different on that one.
Okay.
Due to some tech issues on my end, there might have been two TikToks created on accident. So, yes, but we figured it out. Anyway, who would like to pray us out today?
I'll do it.
All right.
Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this time that we get to spend together, Lord. I thank you for these wonderful people that I was able to have a conversation with tonight, speaking about how we can reflect your light and your love on others, Lord. Lord, please just throughout this week, put somebody on our hearts and minds that we can serve. And Lord, it doesn't even have to be something where we're reaching out to somebody. Lord, if you just put somebody on our minds, we can pray for them and serve them in that way. Lord, I pray for our anybody going back to school, teachers, students, administrators, from kids in preschool all the way up to kids in college. Lord, please just be with them as they start school. Be with them as they go through changes, Lord. And Lord, I pray for each and every person that came and joined us tonight, Lord, that you move in their lives throughout this week. And Lord, we love you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, thank you for watching the Chit Chat and being a part of the conversation. Please join us next week. We'll be back here on the Monticello United Methodist Church page, probably, unless Instagram finally lets us run all the Xboxing. We'll find it out. So, bye. It's great seeing you guys. See if I can turn this off now. That's a real struggle.